Standby, here we go. From Live Casino in Hanover, Maryland at Arundel Mills Shopping Center, this is an intermission recap from the Jet of Emotions card at Maryland Live Casino. Hello again, everyone. Gary Digital Williams alongside Warren Marshall. We join you tonight from Live Casino in Arundel Mills in Hanover, Maryland, where we have seen a very competitive Jet of Emotions card with a lot of great bouts, including one bout that right now is the leader, clubhouse leader, for Beltway Boxing Bout of the Year. And it has been an outstanding card so far. Even the knockouts, in fact, every bout we've had has not gone the distance. We've had knockouts in every bout we've had so far. Now 4 bouts in this card, but all 4 bouts have been very, very competitive going into the late knockout. And of course, that was definitely highlighted by the bout we just had a few minutes ago, Juan, when Dangerous Donald Wallace scored a very tough 6-round TKO over Ashton the Goon Sykes, and a bout that was toe-to-toe from the opening bell, and no question about it, right now, it stands as the clubhouse leader for Beltway Boxing Bout of the Year in 2018.
Yeah, that definitely was a tremendous bout. Even matchup, both fighters sitting around the 4 and 5 fight under their record. But Wallace put on definitely a solid performance. He was solid from round 1 all the way through round 6. But Ashton Sykes, he showed what he did as an amateur. Basically, always in wars, basically. And sometimes he was more brawling than actually using jabs to set things up. And I think Wallace took advantage in that, was able to out-punch him with some counter shots, and was actually starting to take his toll on Sykes in the shoulder in the late rounds when his power got stopped.
We harken back to Ashton Sykes as an amateur. We saw him face 2 of the better middleweights in the amateur division in the country, back-to-back, in Troy Isley and Lorenzo Simpson, and they were in very similar bouts, as you said, Juan. They were in similar contests where Ashton Sykes tried to gut it out and tried to punch with these guys, and he couldn't do it. Wallace, quite frankly, is maybe not yet at that level, even with Isley or Simpson as an amateur, but try to say Wallace has a lot of heart, and he's fought some very, very big-time bouts, but Wallace just eventually just broke Sykes down and was able to land some quality shots in the 6th and final round.
Yeah, what Wallace did, I think with his manager and also trainer Jake Smith wanted him to do, and I think that's what Jake Smith wanted him to see. But talking to him yesterday, and also talking to him at the meet and greet they had last week, and what Jake was determining based on this bout, how were they going to move his career, and based on the performance and how boxing is today, young fighters with minimum fights actually getting tossed into the fire early. And I think they're going to move Wallace in a way that he's going to start to try to blend in with those fighters and get in with the mix with some of these heavy hitters.
Well, you know, one of the things that I've said, and again, normally I do not like, backyard brawls, so to speak, which, Donald Wallace from Catonsville, Maryland, Ashton Sykes from Hanover, Maryland. This early in their career, you hate to see a bout like that because, again, you don't know what the future ramifications of this bout is going to be. Sometimes the boxers go on to great heights, and sometimes, and I've seen it many times, where the boxers don't continue to live up, and as they progress, they don't do as well. So we have to wait and see what happens with that. But suffice to say, this was an incredible bout, no question about it.
Yeah, definitely an incredible bout. So far, what we've seen fighters that was the bouts were evenly matched, but the local fighters seemed like they stepped their game up a little bit tonight, and were able to get those stoppages, which we're going to talk about later.
Right. Donald Wallace is now 3-1-1 with 2 KOs. Ashton Sykes called the 2-2, again, a Beltway Boxing Classic, no question about that. Clubhouse leader for Beltway Bout of the Year. Speaking of one of the local boxers, a real local boxer, the Red Comet Dante Cox out of Elkridge, Maryland, the super lightweight, fought in front of not only his home crowd, but some of his co-workers here tonight, as he's a bartender at the Prime Rib location here at Maryland Live Casino. And he put on a good show, stopping Veron Webb, Mighty Mo Webb out of Cameron, North Carolina, at the end of the 3rd round. Got to the point where Cox was just too much for Webb down the stretch.
Yeah, it was a contest where the game plan of Cox was to wear Webb down, and it worked. He came to him straightforward, using some power shots. Webb stood in for the first couple of rounds, But it was that third round that Wallace actually put the pressure on and made harder punches, made stronger punches, and put more power on those punches, and was going to the body and was able to stop Wallace, which made the bout end. At the end, after Webb's corner saw enough and stopped the bout.
So Dante Cox now 3-0, 1 KO. Ron Webb out of Cameron, North Carolina, he's 0-1-1. And again, the bout ended at the end of the third round. They could not come out for the fourth. Another good bout tonight. Zarafek now wants to be known as Triple Z Nishinbaya, former Uzbek warrior out of Arlington, Virginia by way of Kyrgyzstan. He scored a fourth round TKO over Kevin the Scarecrow Womack of Baltimore, Maryland. And again, Kevin Womack Jr., you know, you look at a Kevin Womack Jr. and you wonder if the right Kevin Womack Jr. showed up, he might cause some problems. Well, I think for a little bit of time, he caused some problems with Nishinbayev, but you can see neither guy could really get themselves close to the shot. They were just missing their shots throughout the contest.
And it was about who was going to make the adjustments first. And that opponent, that fighter was Nishinbayev. When Nishinbayev made his adjustment, and he caught him with a beautiful counter right hand that dropped Womack straight on his back. And from that point, Womack couldn't recover because once the referee made the fight continue, Nishinbayev jumped right back on Womack and was able to get the stoppage.
Yeah, referee Kenny Chevalier stopped the bout at 2:30 of the fourth round. Zarafek Nishinbayev now 5-1, 4 KOs. Kevin Womack Jr. 8, 17-4, and 6 KOs. And the opening bout tonight, we saw the debut of Chester Stewart, a former football player, quarterback at Temple University, and had a cup of coffee with the Baltimore Ravens. And he, in his pro debut, got rocked by Charles Johnson out of Up Marlboro, Maryland. And Johnson went on, Brickhouse Johnson out of Marlboro, went on to win a third round TKO at 2:02 of the third.
And maybe with Stewart, that not having that boxing background, that's what caused him, I guess, with just being in the gym wasn't enough. And I think that's what Johnson had the advantage, you know, with maybe spending some time in the gym preparing just for boxing, which Stewart came out of football. You know, he was an athlete, but in boxing is a total different trait you got to carry with you. And Johnson was able to wear that Stewart down, and Stewart was doing the right thing at the beginning. He was using his height. He was able to go to the body, which we know Andrew Council is known for. Teaching him how to go to the body.
Council's a trainer, bro.
Exactly. Andrew Council was his trainer. So Stewart was going to the body of Johnson, and he actually hurt Johnson a little. But Johnson made the adjustments he needed to do, and it was the countering and the wide openness that I noticed that Stewart kept his left hand down. When he kept his land, Johnson was able to land that right hand and was able to hurt him.
Yeah. Charles Johnson out of Mount Rainier, Maryland, I should say. He is now 1-1 in his career. We saw him back in June. He lost a tough 4-round majority decision to Moosin Kason, June 29th over at Martins West in Woodlawn, Maryland. You heard that bout here on the Boxing on Beltway podcast. But he went on to win tonight. Chester Stewart falls in the pro debuts out of Hanover, Maryland. So great bout so far. We have great card so far. We have one more bout that was scheduled for the undercard. It may come on after the televised bouts tonight. That's Francisco Bustos in that rematch against Javon John. Bustos out of Rockville, Maryland. Javon John out of Newport News, Virginia. But of course, as we get ready for the televised portion of this card, which starts at 9 p.m. Eastern Time in just a few moments, of course, the big bouts concern not only Damon Nicholson going after Isaac Rodriguez for the vacant WBC, USNBC junior middleweight title, super middleweight title, it should be, and also the USNBC welterweight title between Ivan Golub and Leonardo Tyler. Both these bouts are outstanding bouts, no question about that. But again, people, and we're going to talk about Damon in just a moment, but people are really talking about this big bout coming up between Michael Fox and DeMarcus Corley, a crossroads bout if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, that's a highly anticipated bout. I'm glad this bout was able to be televised because right now is where Mike Fox wants to be, and this is exactly where he should be. So his timing of his career is right on point. And with a fight like DeMarcus Corley, you couldn't choose another opponent that he can highlight himself and that can showcase his talent and also be tested with the veteran DeMarcus Corley. DeMarcus Corley has been through it all, world championships, been across the world, fighting everywhere, and fought all types of fights in all different countries.
No question about that. And of course, Damon Nicholson, again, 18-3-1, 17 KOs against Isaac Rodriguez, with 25-2, 20 KOs. This is a bout that Damon Nicholson simply has to win.
This is, when we say life-changing bout, this is a life-changing and career-changing bout for Damon. Not just need to win, but he needs to look impressive when he wins.
Yeah.
And he hopefully he doesn't get a draw, and he needs to win this bout. Like we said, it's a must-win for him being with Lou DiBella, because I think Lou DiBella has some high expectations after the performance that Damon puts on. Has some higher expectations for him.
Yeah, no question about that. So that is the bouts here from tonight, our featured bouts here tonight. So enjoy it on CBS Sports Network. Really following the card, Juan Marshall and I will be back here near for the post-fight show of the main event bouts here on this card. So for now, for Juan Marshall, I'm Gary Digital Williams. Thanks for joining us here on Boxing on the Beltway podcast. You can hear it on Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio.com, Stitcher.com, TuneIn, and Google Podcasts. So make sure you stay with us and join us live for this big event. Coming up, our main events here from Maryland Live Casino. Like to join us, enjoy the telecast, everybody.